The announcement echoed through the terminal like a verdict: Flight 908 delayed indefinitely, and in that moment, two lives that were never meant to intersect paused at the same breath. That's when the single dad, clutching a dinosaur backpack and a boarding pass creased by worry, turned to the woman standing beside him and asked the question that would quietly rewrite both their futures: "Are you lost too, ma'am?" If you listen closely to what happened next, you'll realize this was never just a chance meeting, it was the beginning of a reckoning neither of them could escape until the very end. She didn't look lost. She looked untouchable. Tailored charcoal suit, hair pinned with ruthless precision, eyes trained on a phone buzzing with decisions worth millions. Everyone knew her name: Arohi Malhotra, the youngest CEO to take a collapsing logistics empire and turn it into a global force. Airports bowed to her schedule. Time bent around her will. Loneliness, however, followed her like a shadow that no spotlight could erase. The man beside her, Samir, looked like time had chewed him up and given him back kinder. Soft eyes, frayed jacket, a 5-year-old asleep against his chest with crayon on her cheek. He smelled faintly of baby shampoo and black coffee. He hadn't planned to speak to the woman who commanded rooms. But his daughter, Mira, had tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Abu, she looks sad." Arohi glanced up, startled by the voice that wasn't asking for favors or offering flattery. Just concern. She almost laughed it off, almost. But exhaustion won. "I don't get lost," she said, then softer, "but yes. I suppose I am." They found seats near a window where planes moved like promises delayed. Samir told her he was flying home after a job interview that didn't pan out. Widower. Freelance illustrator. Trying again. Arohi nodded, listening the way she listened to quarterly reports until she realized this required something she hadn't practiced in years: being present. Hours stretched. Mira woke and offered Arohi a crumpled sticker shaped like a star. Arohi accepted it like a fragile artifact. She told Mira she used to draw stars when she was small, before she learned to draw lines straight enough to build empires. Samir smiled, not at the story, but at the way Arohi's shoulders loosened as she spoke. When the terminal lights dimmed for the night, Arohi's phone rang. The board. A crisis overseas. A decision only she could make. She stepped away, voice hardening, armor snapping back into place. When she returned, her face had changed. The softness gone. Samir saw it and said nothing. At dawn, the flight was cancelled. Rebooking scattered people like leaves. Samir's interview city was no longer an option. Arohi's emergency demanded she go the opposite direction. They stood awkwardly, strangers again. "Thank you," Arohi said, surprising herself with the weight of it. "For not treating me like a headline." Samir shrugged. "You looked lost." As they parted, Mira waved. Arohi waved back, the star sticker still on her palm. She walked away with a decision she couldn't explain lodged in her chest. Because for the first time in years, someone hadn't needed her power, only her humanity. And just as she reached security, she turned back, searching the crowd, too late, wondering why losing sight of one tired man and his child felt heavier than losing $1 million deal. 3 months later, the headline read, "CEO delays merger to visit Children's Hospital, sources confused." That's where the story tightens its grip, because the question isn't why she went there, but who she found waiting for her at the end of the corridor, holding the same dinosaur backpack, about to ask the same question all over again. Arohi had learned the hard way that success without connection is a loud kind of silence. After the airport, she couldn't forget the ease of that conversation, the unguarded laugh, the way Mira had fallen asleep trusting the world again. Arohi started volunteering anonymously, drawing stars with kids who didn't care about market shares. She told herself it was balance. It was truth knocking. Samir was there because Mira had insisted. She'd seen Arohi on TV once and said, "That's the sad star lady." When Arohi stepped into the playroom, Mira gasped. Samir froze, unsure whether to bow, flee, or smile. Arohi did none of what he expected. She knelt. She smiled. She let Mira place a sticker on her sleeve. They really talked about grief and fear and the weight of being needed. Arohi admitted she'd built walls so high she forgot what they were protecting. Samir confessed the terror of raising a child alone while the world demanded certainty. Challenges came swiftly. Arovi's board threatened her position. Samir's finances faltered. Rumors sparked. Judgment followed. The easy path would have been to walk away again. But something had shifted. This time, Arohi chose differently. She stepped down from daily operations, choosing a role that allowed her to live, not just lead. Samir accepted a steady job illustrating children's books, one of which Arohi quietly funded without telling him. Pride was respected. Dignity preserved. On a quiet evening months later, at the same airport cafe, Mira ran between them laughing. Arohi watched Samir, tired and hopeful, and finally understood what being found felt like. "Are you lost too, ma'am?" Samir teased. Arohi shook her head, eyes shining. "No," she said. "I'm home. And if you stayed till the end to hear this, know that sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit you're lost, long enough for love to find you."